Hello and welcome to the Enspiral External Update Way 2020. I am your host and catalyst, Jorian. This series of videos is here for people who are curious about Enspiral to better understand us, to know what we talk about, how do we really operate, not the big ideas, but on a day-by-day level. And if you saw our last month's video was actually quite different, quite important, which was the Hope in Pandemic update video. And I gotta say that we're still a bit there. The energies have shifted a bit, and there's more hope in the network. There's more people building, more stuff moving from a moment of intense feeling and processing to a moment of building structures. So what I can share here is that I can't really invite you to those conversations because they're Enspiral. But the two things we're doing the most is forming new pods. Pods is a super important technology that we have, which is basically a small group that gets together regularly to either care for each other, to do a research together, to figure something together. I'll leave resources on the doobly-doo so you can find all the links for pods. But this is a moment for new pods, exactly because of COVID-19 and the whole situation. We are gathering in our small tribes and trying to make sense of the world. And also, we've been having more events than ever. Of course, online events, calls. And we had a record number of calls last month. And we're maintaining most of those calls, but less frequent and more project oriented right now. There was a moment of just a bunch of care calls, and now there's a slightly different energy. We're more open spacey. So those are the main energies happening in Enspiral. It's not the moment of big gigantic projects. It's a moment of getting together in small groups and figuring things out. Okay, so what have we been talking about? So this is Lisa Gill's podcast, which is a wonderful podcast. I wholeheartedly recommend. And I want to point out this particular episode with Skeena Rather. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Which is part of the Extinction Rebellion leadership, and she's talking about how COVID-19 is changing the Extinction Rebellion and turning it a little more of a decentralized movement, more than it was before even. So if Extinction Rebellion is something that interests you, this fascinating podcast, you should check it out. Now, Gina Rembe, she last month started a big conversation about what sort of new macrostructures we could create post COVID-19, post pandemic, and what can we replace, and what would we like to create to replace what. And based on this conversation she had inside Enspiral and other conversations she had with other groups, she created this amazing Medium article, which is, of course, economic observations in pandemic times, as you can see, but it is by stakeholder. So if you see here the billionaires and the healthcare sector, black people and single parents, and there's a bunch of interesting information here, but most importantly, there are a bunch of super relevant links to all of those different kinds of stakeholders for us to make sense of that for different groups. So wholeheartedly recommend. Super interesting article. So this is Dig's most recent article, which is about responsibility, about how COVID-19 is helping people build responsibility and also request responsibility from their groups, their countries, their political parties. First of all, this article is thorough. There's a lot of information here, and it's mostly not about COVID-19, but about climate change, of course, because climate change is such a bigger deal than COVID-19. So there's a lot of groups around the world, and particularly in New Zealand, this article talks a bunch, who are really trying to use this moment of COVID-19, since it's so urgent, to build the structures and the responsibility we're going to need to deal with the real challenge, which is climate change. So Richard Bartlett was interviewed by the Jim Rudd Show, and what he's talking about here is, among other things, but I guess most particularly, how he translates his Enspiral experiences to projects and environments and teams outside of the Enspiral network. So if you're new to the idea of Enspiral, if you're curious about us and what exactly we do, this is a great way to engage with our ideas in a practical level. How does Rich uses this idea in his life and especially in his professional life? So really cool. Oh yeah, this is a thesis that featured Enspiral. We don't have a lot of academics in our network, and we love to interact with academia. And sometimes we are able to help. We provide data. Well, one of us get interviewed for one paper or another. So this one was very recently published, and we're super happy, super stoked to be part of it. I'm leaving the link for this and actually all the links for everything you heard in this video below, okay? So don't worry about links. It will be in the list below. And if you're interested in diverse economies and how innovation groups are creating different kinds of economies, specifically in New Zealand, yeah, there's a whole academic text about this. Super cool. Now, this is inside a Better Work Together platform, which, if you watch these videos, you've seen being mentioned over and over again. Not only it's made by Enspiral, but it's also so cool. I don't know if you remember. I think it was last video or 2 videos ago. I posted an article about Full Circle Leadership, Alana Irvin's Full Circle Leadership, but it was actually not written by Alana. It was written by Emma and her friend Alicia, who are running this course on Full Circle Leadership. Is on the 6th of May. So depending on when you're listening to this, you're gonna have to run to get it. It might be tomorrow, it might be today. So give a look to your calendar. I think it's gonna be a great opportunity to learn about the real kind of leadership that the world is in desperate need right now. Okay, had some technical issues, but here I am back. And for today's moment of Zen, I swear I didn't make this up. I swear I didn't make this up. There is a website, a real service called GoToMeeting. Do you see in the middle of the Zoom call that there is a goat in here? Well, now you can rent a goat to spice up your Zoom meetings. I am not even kidding. So if you feel your Zoom calls are too stale, they're boring, people are not paying attention, why not bring a goat? Everybody will at least pay attention to that. And with that beautiful piece of internet absurdity, I leave you today. Thanks very much for your attention. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next month. Ciao.